There are 5 slot machines that cost casinos millions of dollars before management pulled them from floors. And if you ever find one of these originals still operating, you've discovered a mathematical goldmine. I spent 12 years as a casino floor supervisor and slot operations coordinator at properties in Nevada, New Jersey, and tribal casinos across the Midwest. My responsibilities included monitoring real-time machine performance data, analyzing hold percentages, coordinating with manufacturers when machines performed outside expected parameters, and implementing strategic floor placement to maximize casino profitability. During those 12 years, I watched 5 specific slot machines absolutely destroy casino profit margins before they were quietly replaced, reprogrammed, or removed entirely. These weren't slightly underperforming machines. These were machines paying out so consistently, so generously, that casino management held emergency meetings, manufacturers released emergency firmware updates, and in some cases, machines were swapped out overnight under cover of routine maintenance to prevent players from noticing. You've heard rumors about machines casinos regret installing, that certain games paid too much before they were fixed, that advantage players made fortunes on specific titles before updates changed everything. You're absolutely right, and I'm about to reveal exactly which machines those were and why they cost casinos so much money. Before I expose these 5 machines, I need 3 things immediately. First, hit that like button right now. Second, subscribe and activate notifications, because this is insider knowledge manufacturers and casinos prefer remains hidden. Third, comment below. Have you ever played any legendary slot machines that seemed impossibly generous before they disappeared from the floor? These 5 machines represent the biggest mathematical miscalculations, software glitches, and design oversights in modern slot history. And understanding why they failed from the casino's perspective reveals exactly what to look for when selecting machines. Let me start with the machine that cost casinos more money than any other title in the 2010s. Machine number 1, Buffalo Gold by Aristocrat, the multiplier stacking phenomenon that destroyed casino hold percentages across America. Released in the mid-2010s, Buffalo Gold quickly became one of the most played slot games worldwide. Its design featured distinctive gameplay with gold buffalo head symbols that applied multipliers during free spin bonuses. Players absolutely loved it. Casinos learned to regret installing it almost immediately. Here's the mathematical problem. The gold head feature stacked multipliers incredibly fast during bonus rounds. When you triggered free spins, gold buffalo heads would appear on reels and apply multipliers to your wins. But free spin retriggers could lead to extended play sessions exceeding 100 free spins, where multipliers kept stacking exponentially. From a coin-in, coin-out perspective, this was catastrophic for casinos. The machines were programmed to hold approximately 8% to 10% for the house, based on Aristocrat's mathematical models. In actual operation, many Buffalo Gold machines held closer to 4% to 6% during peak playing periods. That's a 50% reduction in expected casino profit. When you're discussing millions of dollars in daily wagers across multiple machines, that difference represents hundreds of thousands in lost revenue monthly. As a supervisor with access to back-end performance data, I could see exactly how devastating this was. The ticket printers on popular Buffalo Gold machines required paper refills 2 to 3 times per shift. I documented one particular machine that paid out over $43,000 in a single weekend, while only taking in $51,000 in wagers. That's an 84% payout rate when we expected 90% to 92% hold. That famous Buffalo chant sound effect that plays when bonuses trigger became a warning alarm for casino management. Every time we heard it, especially multiple times in short periods, we knew money was walking out the door in massive quantities. Casinos attempted lowering RTP settings on newer installations, but player outrage was instant and fierce. Buffalo Gold had built such loyal following that any changes were immediately noticed. Players would actually track which specific machines had better payout rates and would exclusively play those units. I saw casino forums where players documented individual machine serial numbers and performance over weeks of play. The level of dedication was extraordinary. Some players treated Buffalo Gold like a part-time job. Let me tell you about a player I'll call Marcus. Marcus understood Buffalo Gold's mathematical patterns better than most casino employees. He'd arrive every Tuesday and Thursday morning, spend 90 minutes systematically scouting every Buffalo Gold machine on our floor, watching other players, observing Gold Buffalo head frequency during regular play. Marcus had identified that machines showing frequent gold head appearances during base game play were statistically approaching bonus triggers. He'd position himself near these machines, waiting patiently for casual players to give up after near-miss sequences. The instant a seat opened, Marcus would claim it, and typically trigger the bonus within 20 to 40 spins. Over 8 months that I documented his play, Marcus averaged $800 to $1,200 weekly profit exclusively from Buffalo Gold exploitation. He told me directly, "I'm not gambling. I'm collecting mathematical probability that other players built up but didn't have patience to collect." See, eventually, Aristocrat released updated versions with recalibrated mathematics, but original Buffalo Gold machines remain legendary among Advantage players. Many are still operating with original programming because casinos can't remove them without losing the loyal player base they've attracted. Machine number 2. Quick Hit Platinum by Bally. The hit frequency miscalculation that ran casinos into net losses. Quick Hit Platinum launched in the late 2000s, featuring simple, fast-paced gameplay with frequent quick hit bonus triggers across multiple reels. The design philosophy was simple: keep players engaged with frequent small wins. The problem? Bally catastrophically miscalculated cumulative payout effect over extended sessions. These machines were expected to hold 8% to 9% for the house based on original mathematical models. In operational reality, they held 5% to 6%, with some high-traffic machines performing even worse. When you combine high hit frequency with fast gameplay, allowing 600 to 800 spins hourly, those frequent small wins weren't small anymore when aggregated. I reviewed weekly payout reports where Quick Hit Platinum machines consistently ranked at the bottom of floor performance. Some casino floors actually ran net losses weekly on the entire Quick Hit series. One floor manager told me directly, "If I could replace every Quick Hit machine overnight without player backlash, I'd do it immediately." But they couldn't, because players specifically sought these machines out. Removing them would have driven those players to competing casinos. The player exploitation angle made this worse. Quick Hit Platinum featured a progressive bonus meter at the screen top. Quick Hit symbols would partially fill this meter, and when completely filled, significant bonuses triggered. Experienced players hunted machines with partially completed meters. If 3 of 5 bonus positions were lit, or if the progressive meter showed 70% to 80% completion, Advantage players would immediately claim those machines knowing bonus triggers were statistically imminent, typically within 50 to 100 spins. I watched players develop systematic strategies. They'd walk the entire floor, check bonus meter status on every quick hit machine, create mental maps of which were ready, then camp near those machines waiting for casual players to abandon them. The instant seats opened, they'd collect bonuses other players had unknowingly built up. Some Advantage players worked in teams. One person would scout, text their partner when finding nearly full bonus meters. By the time security identified the pattern, these teams had already extracted thousands of dollars. Machine number 3, Lightning Link High Stakes by Aristocrat, the progressive jackpot system that hit 3 times more frequently than mathematical models predicted. Lightning Link High Stakes was designed as the ultimate excitement machine, a progressive link system connecting 20 to 40 machines across entire casino floors, sometimes across multiple properties in the same corporate chain. Jackpot potential could reach 6 figures. Casinos installed these thinking they'd be profitable crowd draws. They were catastrophically wrong. The linked jackpot system triggered far more frequently than Aristocrat's models predicted, especially during the first year before major firmware updates. Casinos completely underestimated how rapidly linked progressive meters could climb when 30 to 40 machines all contributed to the same jackpot pool. The mathematics assumed average player volume and average bet sizes. But Lightning Link attracted heavy bettors, people playing maximum bet, spinning as fast as possible attempting to trigger that linked jackpot feature. This meant progressive meters climbed 2 to 3 times faster than projected. When jackpots hit 2 to 3 times more frequently than financial models predict, casinos lose enormous money. Some smaller venues took absolutely massive financial hits when multiple jackpots dropped within single weekends. I was working a mid-sized property when we experienced 3 grand jackpots in one Saturday night. 3 separate players, all within 4 hours of each other, won over $50,000 each. The casino lost over $160,000 in a single shift. The CFO arrived on site by midnight, demanding explanations. We pulled diagnostic reports, reviewed every spin, sent everything to Aristocrat for analysis. We updated firmware twice just to stabilize jackpot frequency and adjust progressive increment rates. The back-end data showed undeniable problems. Progressive meters climbing too fast, trigger thresholds set too low. By the time casinos and Aristocrat fully understood the issue, players had already identified patterns and were exploiting them ruthlessly. Smart players watched jackpot meters religiously, tracking sweet spots when progressives were statistically due based on historical data. They only played when conditions were mathematically optimal. Entire Reddit threads, gambling forums, and private Discord channels documented exactly when to play Lightning Link at specific casinos. Players shared real-time updates on jackpot meter levels, recent hit history, machine performance data. I personally knew advantage players who made it full-time work tracking Lightning Link progressives across multiple casinos in the same metropolitan area. They'd drive property to property, check meters, only play when mathematics favored them. These individuals consistently pulled 5-figure wins, sometimes multiple times monthly, treating it like a business with spreadsheets, tracking meter levels, hit frequencies, and expected value calculations. Casinos eventually recalibrated the entire system, reducing increment rates and raising trigger thresholds. But the damage was done. Lightning Link high stakes cost some properties hundreds of thousands, even millions, in unexpected payouts during those first 12 to 18 months. Machine number 4. Monopoly Money Grab by WMS. The software glitch that applied multipliers incorrectly and cost casinos millions before anyone noticed. Monopoly Money Grab launched based on the classic Monopoly board game, featuring flashy bonus wheel features, big multiplier rounds, and interactive elements. The nostalgia factor was enormous. Older demographics absolutely loved it. But early production models contained a catastrophic feature glitch in bonus calculation software that WMS and casinos didn't discover until thousands of units had already been deployed. Bonus triggers were occurring more frequently than approved mathematical models specified. Worse, the random multiplier calculation algorithm was stacking incorrectly, leading to oversized wins that weren't supposed to be mathematically possible. When players triggered bonus wheels, the game was supposed to apply one multiplier to final payouts. But due to coding error, some spins applied multiple multipliers simultaneously. A player might trigger a 5x multiplier and a 3x multiplier on the same bonus round, resulting in 15x payout instead of just 5x. This was devastating for casino hold percentages. Players were winning 2, 3, sometimes 5 times more than the game was designed to pay. Casinos didn't announce this publicly. They couldn't afford the PR nightmare of admitting their machines were broken in ways favoring players. Instead, they worked with WMS to quietly swap out early versions within months of installation, typically under cover of routine maintenance. I was one of the technicians executing those swaps. We were explicitly told to perform replacements during off hours, usually between 2 and 4 a.m., when casino floors were nearly empty. Management didn't want players noticing their favorite Monopoly machines were being replaced with different units. When you're pulling slot machines at 3 a.m. and replacing them with identical-looking updated versions, you absolutely know something's wrong. Players definitely noticed. They'd return the next day, play their favorite Monopoly machine, and immediately sense something was different. Bonus rounds weren't triggering as frequently. Multipliers weren't stacking the same way. But those players who experienced original bugged versions before updates rolled out made out extraordinarily well. Some hit multiple feature bonuses within minutes because trigger frequency was set way too high. The mathematics were completely broken in their favor. I personally knew regulars who made their entire rent and utilities money off Monopoly money grab for a solid month before machines got patched. They'd arrive daily, play 2 to 3 hours maximum bet, leave with $400 to $600 profit every single day. One player told me he won $11,000 across 3 weeks playing exclusively Monopoly money grab. He knew something was off, that the game was paying excessively, so he exploited it maximally before it got fixed. Then, one morning, he arrived, and the machine was gone, replaced overnight. He asked me what happened. All I could say was scheduled maintenance. He knew. I knew. But we both played ignorant. Once firmware updates rolled out across all remaining machines, those absurd wins disappeared completely. The game played exactly as originally intended, with normal bonus frequency and correct multiplier calculations. Machine number 5. Wheel of Fortune Classic by IGT. The most generous RTP programming in modern slot history that casinos desperately wanted to remove, but couldn't without losing customers. Wheel of Fortune Classic represents the most iconic, most recognizable, most beloved slot series ever created in casino gaming history. The classic versions from early 2000s, particularly models released between 2000 and 2005, had insanely generous payout mathematics compared to modern standards. We're discussing RTP, return to player, percentages between 95% and 97%. That was absolutely unheard of for slot machines at that time and remains extraordinary today. To contextualize, most modern slot machines operate between 85% and 92% RTP. Anything above 93% is considered extremely player-friendly. A machine paying 96% to 97% is practically giving money away by casino standards. Combined with the famous wheel spin bonus feature, players were hitting consistent mid-tier payouts. Not just occasional massive jackpots that reset bankrolls momentarily before losses recur. These were consistent, steady, reliable wins that kept bankrolls healthy and growing over extended sessions. Casinos absolutely hated it. I remember sitting in operational review meetings where one casino manager said, and I'm quoting him directly, "If I could pull every single Wheel of Fortune machine off this floor right now and replace them with anything else, I would do it instantly. These machines are bleeding us dry." But they couldn't, because Wheel of Fortune was and remains the most popular slot brand in America. Players specifically visit casinos to play Wheel of Fortune. If a casino removed them, those players would simply patronize competitors. So casinos were trapped hosting machines they knew were too generous, too player-friendly, and too expensive to operate profitably. The sound of that iconic wheel spinning with clicking sounds as it decelerated, and Pat Sajak's voice announcing prizes, was beautiful for players. For casino management, it was the sound of money walking out the door. I'd be performing routine maintenance on other machines and hear that wheel spin sound effect 20 to 30 times hourly. Every time, I knew some player just won decent payout. It was relentless. Eventually, IGT released newer, significantly tighter editions of Wheel of Fortune with much lower payback percentages, typically 88% to 91% range. Casinos couldn't replace the classics fast enough. They'd phase them out gradually, swapping 1 or 2 monthly so players wouldn't notice entire banks disappearing overnight. But for years, those original classic Wheel of Fortune machines were objectively the best bet on any casino floor. If you understood probability and returned to player mathematics, you played Wheel of Fortune Classic exclusively. There was no logical reason to play anything else. Let me tell you about a player named Elizabeth who understood this perfectly. Elizabeth was a retired accountant with exceptional mathematical comprehension. She'd researched slot machine RTP data extensively and identified that our Wheel of Fortune Classic machines offered 96% RTP, while most other floor machines offered 87% to 90%. Elizabeth played exclusively Wheel of Fortune Classic, 3 times weekly, 2-hour sessions, consistent bet sizing. Over 14 months that I documented her play, Elizabeth deposited approximately $18,000 total. Her returns exceeded $17,200. She lost $800 over 14 months, approximately $57 monthly average cost for entertainment. For context, typical players lose 15% to 25% of deposits over similar time frames. Elizabeth's 4.4% loss rate was exceptional, achieved purely through superior machine selection based on RTP knowledge. Elizabeth proved that understanding machine mathematics and selecting appropriately offers genuine mathematical advantage, even though house edge always exists long-term. Now let me reveal what these 5 machines teach us about recognizing advantage opportunities and protecting yourself mathematically. Lesson 1. RNG reality still governs everything, but design flaws create exploitable windows. Every slot machine operates using a random number generator that makes each spin mathematically independent. The RNG generates billions of random number sequences every second. When you press spin, it selects one sequence instantaneously, determining your outcome before reels even start moving. This means machines don't run hot or cold in supernatural sense. But what these 5 machines prove is that mathematical models can be wrong, software can contain bugs, and design assumptions can fail catastrophically. Buffalo Gold's multiplier stacking wasn't a hot streak. It was mathematical design where bonus retriggers created exponential payout growth that exceeded Aristocrat's models. Quick Hit Platinum's hit frequency wasn't luck. It was miscalculated aggregate effect of frequent small wins over high-volume play. The opportunity, when you identify machines exhibiting performance characteristics inconsistent with typical floor standards, you may have discovered design oversight, mathematical miscalculation, or software anomaly creating temporary advantage. Lesson 2. RTP and denomination knowledge remains your primary mathematical edge. These 5 machines all shared one characteristic. Their actual operational RTP exceeded their intended RTP, sometimes dramatically. Wheel of Fortune Classic was programmed generously intentionally. The others exceeded intended programming due to errors. Understanding RTP by denomination remains critical. Penny slots, 84% to 88% RTP average. Quarter slots, 89% to 92%. Dollar slots, 91% to 94%. $5 slots and higher, 93% to 96% or better. But beyond denomination, research specific game titles. Some games like Wheel of Fortune Classic, certain quick hit versions, and original Buffalo Gold models offered superior RTP within their denomination categories. The strategy: always play highest denomination your bankroll can support for minimum 150 to 200 spins. But additionally, research which specific games within that denomination offer best documented RTP. Lesson 3. Advantage play recognition requires systematic observation. The players who profited most from these 5 machines shared one trait: systematic observation before play. They didn't gamble impulsively. They scouted. They documented. They waited for optimal conditions. Marcus scouting Buffalo Gold machines for 90 minutes before playing. Advantage players tracking Lightning Link, progressive meters across multiple properties. Quick hit Platinum meter hunters creating mental floor maps. The application: before playing, spend 15 to 30 minutes observing floor conditions. Which machines are being played heavily? Which show frequent payouts? Which progressive meters are elevated? Which bonus meters are partially filled? This observation costs 0 money, but provides information that can dramatically affect your session outcome. Lesson 4. Bankroll management and exit discipline protect you even when mathematics favor you. Even on these 5 generous machines, players still lost money through poor bankroll management and lack of exit discipline. I watched players win substantially on Buffalo Gold, then immediately reinvest all winnings chasing larger bonuses until they left broke. The 1% rule remains essential. Never wager more than 1% of your total bankroll per spin. If you have $300, maximum bet is $3. This protects you from variance even on favorable machines. Additionally, set predetermined limits. Loss limit: maximum you'll lose before leaving, typically 25% to 30% of total bankroll. Win limit: predetermined profit target that triggers serious evaluation about continuing or cashing out. Time limit: maximum session duration regardless of financial position. The discipline: these limits must be set before playing and enforced without exception. The best machine in the world still requires disciplined play to actually leave ahead. Let me tell you about a player named Richard, who learned this lesson expensively. Richard identified a Lightning Link machine with a progressive meter at historically high level based on his tracking. The mathematics genuinely favored playing that machine at that moment. Richard sat down with $500, began playing, and within 90 minutes hit the progressive jackpot for $42,000. Extraordinary win. Life-changing money for Richard's circumstances. Richard cashed the jackpot ticket, but instead of leaving immediately, he thought, "I'm on a hot streak. That machine likes me." He sat back down at the same machine with $2,000 of his jackpot winnings. Over the next 5 hours, Richard lost the entire $2,000 plus an additional $1,500 from his original $500 bankroll. He left having won $42,000, but immediately gave back $3,500, converting a $41,500 net win into a $38,500 net win. Still profitable, but Richard cost himself $3,500 of his jackpot through lack of exit discipline. If he'd simply left immediately after cashing that jackpot ticket, he'd have protected the full amount. The lesson: even when you win substantially, even when mathematics temporarily favor you, exit discipline remains your ultimate protection against giving everything back. Let's summarize what these 5 machines that lost casinos millions teach us. Buffalo Gold by Aristocrat. Multiplier stacking during bonus re-triggers created exponential payout growth exceeding mathematical models. Original versions held 4% to 6%, instead of intended 8% to 10%. Advantage players who understood timing made $800 to $1,200 weekly consistently. Quick hit Platinum by Bally, hit frequency miscalculation, combined with fast gameplay, created aggregate payouts far exceeding projections. Held 5% to 6%, instead of 8% to 9%. Players hunting partially filled bonus meters made hundreds hourly. Lightning Link, high stakes. By Aristocrat, progressive jackpot. Triggers occurred 2 to 3 times more frequently than models predicted. Some casinos lost $160,000, single shifts. Advantage players tracking meter levels across properties made 5-figure wins monthly. Monopoly money grab by WMS. Software glitch caused multipliers to stack incorrectly, paying 2 to 5 times intended amounts. Players who caught this before overnight replacements made $11,000 in 3 weeks. Wheel of Fortune Classic by IGT. Intentionally generous 95% to 97% RTP made these objectively best bets on casino floors for years. Players who exclusively played these machines experienced 4% to 5% loss rates compared to typical 15% to 25%. Universal lessons from these machines. Mathematical models can fail. Software can contain bugs. Design assumptions can be wrong. When they are, temporary advantage windows exist. But even with advantages, you need systematic observation, superior machine selection, bankroll management, and absolute exit discipline. The house always has mathematical edge long-term. But understanding which machines performed outside expected parameters historically teaches you what to look for in current machines. Are there machines on floors today exhibiting similar characteristics? Possibly. Manufacturers and casinos have become more cautious after these expensive lessons. Testing is more rigorous. Updates roll out faster. But history suggests occasional miscalculations still occur. Your edge comes from knowledge, observation, and discipline. Know RTP by denomination and by specific game. Observe floor conditions systematically before playing. Manage bankroll using 1% rule. Set predetermined limits and enforce them absolutely. If you found this valuable, I need 3 actions immediately. First, subscribe and hit notifications. I'm continuing to expose casino industry secrets, machine mathematics, and advantage play opportunities based on insider operational knowledge. Second, share this video with anyone who plays slots. Understanding which machines historically performed outside expectations helps players make superior selection decisions. Third, watch this video here, where I reveal how to identify when modern machines are approaching payout cycles using the same back-end diagnostic indicators casinos track in real time. Before closing, the mandatory legal disclaimer: if you or someone you know struggles with gambling addiction, seek professional help immediately. Contact the National Council on Problem Gambling at 1-800-522-4700. Available 24 hours daily. This video is educational. I'm revealing historical machine performance data and mathematical principles, not guaranteeing any current machines offer similar advantages. Slots are entertainment, not income. The house always maintains mathematical edge long-term. Only gamble with money you can afford to lose completely. Set limits before playing. Enforce those limits without exception. Never chase losses. Never play with borrowed money or money needed for essential expenses. But if you're going to play slots, understanding which machines historically lost casinos the most money reveals exactly what characteristics create favorable conditions: generous RTP, frequent bonus triggers, multiplier stacking, progressive meters approaching thresholds, and partially filled bonus meters. These 5 machines cost casinos millions because they exhibited those characteristics beyond intended parameters. Finding modern machines exhibiting similar patterns, even at expected levels rather than excessive levels, gives you best mathematical opportunities available. Knowledge is your weapon. Observation is your strategy. Discipline is your protection. Play smart, select wisely, and remember, these 5 legendary machines prove that sometimes casino mathematics favor players. Until next time, stay informed.